continue our journey a few miles west to Boulder, Colorado to meet up with Seth Haber, founder of Trek Light Hammocks. We got the chance to spend the afternoon touring his facility and learning about the culture he's created with this great company. Join us as we discuss hammock life with Seth.
All right, so rainy day here in Boulder, Colorado, but we were talking about this new amazing product. Not so new, I guess, but Trek Light Hammocks. Tell us the story behind this. What inspired you to do this company?
So ultimately, it was born out of camping for me. And I just moved to Colorado, so this is just about 15 years ago now. Was doing a whole lot of camping out here. Came from the East Coast, and the thing I learned right off the bat was that most of the camping out here in Colorado is going to be at some form of altitude. And what that means is that it gets cold at night. No matter how beautiful and warm it was all day, it's going to be a cold night. And so you put on all your down vests and your thermals and get all wrapped up in your bag, and come 6 a.m. or so in the morning, you wake up in your tent and it's about 90 degrees and you're ripping layers off, and I just found myself, just not as happy as I wanted to be camping, and that for someone who loves camping and is kind of realizing something's missing. I'm not sleeping that well. I'm sleeping on the ground. You have rocks, roots, you name it. And so the combination of those two things, the kind of hot, cold, crawling out of the tent at the, first crack of dawn and not really wanting to be awake yet, mixed with just not sleeping comfortably, I started just asking around, there's got to be a better way kind of scenario. And I had a friend who had suggested, have you thought of sleeping in a hammock? When I was traveling, we slept in hammocks all the time. You get the fresh air, everything. Looked around everywhere, and just there was nothing I found in a camping store. What was essentially a ball of twine. It was like a fishing net that they called a camping hammock at the time, and just I gave it a try. It was a light bulb moment of first time I'd ever, I had never slept in a hammock before. I had laid in hammocks as a kid, but that feeling of being off the ground set something off. But I had this fishing line essentially, sticking into my back all night. It was definitely not comfortable. And so I just started looking for, are there better materials? What are people doing? I went down this, what are people making in their garages? Started realizing that a lot of people were, because a hammock is essentially a very simple design of a piece of material that is, kind of going to be just bunched up at the ends and strung between two trees. There was a really awesome world of do-it-yourself, kind of people making, even some people selling, but mainly just kind of making for their own, benefit, and then just started putting piece after piece together. At the beginning, it was still just me trying to find a product for myself. It was not me thinking, I had a computer science degree and my career and out of college, and just, was not thinking that starting a business was the road I was going down. I was just trying to camp and find a better way to do it. And then one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I was setting up a booth at the Boulder Creek Festival here in town about almost 14 years ago now, and got about 100 hammocks that I had made. Sold maybe 12 or so to my friends who wanted one as soon as they saw it, and then sold the rest of them over the weekend at the festival, and did almost absolutely nothing with the business for the year after that, because it was just maybe call it beer money, or I still wasn't thinking that I was starting a business. It was just, this is cool. I'm sharing the word about this cool product. This is a good idea, and then baby steps. Next thing you know, I was a small business owner.
Tell us a little bit about what makes this product so special.
Where I always start is the material. You see, especially now, the hammock market has grown. I'd even call it a trending, almost booming type of product. You see them on college campuses. You see them. I can't go camping now without seeing somebody that has a hammock, which was not the case at all 14 years ago. the material is really with our products what I think sets it apart in the best way is that it's obviously it's lightweight features. Breathability makes the all the difference in the world when it comes to being in a hammock on a hot day, feeling that breeze on your back. Nobody wants to be when people see a hammock like this that's one solid piece of material, their first thought is like, oh, it's not going to breathe, and you're stuck to this sort of solid piece of material you're going to be sweating in. Breathability, strength, obviously, a lot of people will say, oh, it holds 400 pounds. I'm never going to put more than 400 pounds into the hammock. It's a sign of its strength. So the fact that it can be, something that you don't have to be concerned about getting into. You don't have to worry about spinning or flipping. So the other big sort of design thing that I noticed right off the bat was that people were very used to their hammocks dumping them out on the ground. The reason for that primarily is that the hammocks that they're used to have these spreader bars on the end, your sort of traditional rope hammock that most people in the US grew up with in their backyard or a friend did. That definitely looks real nice to a lot of people, but it creates that balancing act, and you're really not able to get comfortable if you're trying to figure out how to balance while you're in your hammock. So strength, breathability, durability, the material doesn't rot, it doesn't mildew. Every other cloth, cotton, canvas hammock that's out there, rope, anything, those fibers, when they get wet, they're going to start to break down. It's just a fact of life. People would have a hammock in their backyard and then replace it a year later, 2 years later, the squirrels chew it out, anything, and so the just sort of parachute nylon material really makes all the difference in terms of its portability and what makes it a great hammock.
What was the hardest thing starting your business?
The hardest thing, not knowing what I was doing. I would say I didn't go to business school, and yet I also found that it was the thing that I enjoyed the most. So I think both the hardest and the most enjoyable thing was that I was learning something every step of the way, from realizing that because I was bootstrapping a business and I wasn't independently wealthy, I didn't have even family giving me money to say, hey, or here you go, start your business, let alone any venture capital or anything. It was really just about, okay, if I'm going to own a business, I need to do my own bookkeeping. What is accounting? Let me get a book on QuickBooks, and let me learn all these different aspects, and then everything else I just realized in a sense just kind of came naturally. So it was the marketing, I didn't feel like it was sales, because all I was doing was telling people why I thought the product was cool. I wasn't pushing something that they didn't need or want. It was really just about me spreading the word on something that, in a lot of ways I feel really lucky that my entire product line is stuff, purposefully so that makes people happy. And that was just, I didn't want to be in sales. I didn't want to, I viewed business almost as a negative thing. Maybe my old hippie mentality of just business is bad. And, I saw myself kind of shying away from that. And then I realized, well, I can make this company anything I want it to be. And that's the beauty of that entrepreneurial bug or whatever it is, where I said, well, I can start this company, and I can plant 2 trees for every hammock that I sell, and I can give back in these different ways, and I can have a product that, instead of making something that wears out after a year, I can try to make it as good as I possibly can. So maybe that sucks because people aren't buying it again and again and again, but it creates this loyal following of people that love the product and are happy and come back year after year to say, I'm still using, my product I bought from you years ago. And so the challenge of just that learning process just became the thing that I enjoyed the most, because I wasn't getting that out of my cubicle. Yeah, you're learning things, but it was more just about doing. You had your job, you knew what you were supposed to do, and you just went and did it.
As much as creating quality products is a passion for Seth, you see that community and culture around his company are his driving force. Seth continues to discuss next steps and the future for Trek Light.
Staying true to why I'm doing this in the first place, I think is what's most important to me. I'm actually reading a book at the moment called Small Giants, and it's the tagline is basically, about you don't have to be big, the push to be big or to be great instead of being big. And so my goal, I have other competitors that have popped up long after I started this that have grown bigger, faster, had more money pumped in, you name it. My goal is just to have fun, to be putting out a quality product, and to be doing the right thing with my brand. And that's just, I love the grassroots aspect of it. I've sort of fought the urge to go out and try to get into every retail store possible. I like working with people and seeing smiles on people's faces rather than negotiating deals with buyers, and that's all part of me growing my business, and it's something that I look forward to, and I want the growth to continue. But the thing that I enjoy most is just knowing that the people who do own our products, they see in the company what I would hope that they would, in terms of, I see people sharing a post and saying, hey, you should support these guys. They're really good guys out of Boulder, Colorado. It's a cool company. They took care of me when I had this problem or anything. And you lose a lot of that if you just focus on growing big and just making as many sales as you possibly can. I think that ultimately I did this to get out of the cubicle, to have fun. And at the end of the day, I can see when I have customers that they're calling us up to tell me how the hammock has actually changed their life. It's it seems like an exaggeration to say, oh, I'm selling a product that is having a life-changing impact on somebody. It's the truth. I hear from these customers that this lifestyle, whether it's stress relief or allowing them to camp because they had an issue where they just couldn't sleep on the ground anymore, but a hammock has allowed them to get back outside and to travel more, and people are taking pictures while they're on these trips, and just social media has changed things, but the first day that I had a customer snap a photo of themselves using my product and sent it to me, for not because they were supposed to win something or anything, but just, hey, this is me, thank you, for making my trip that much better. There's nothing like that. I would not want to own any other business that didn't have that feeling of I'm spreading happiness with every product that I sell. I get to hear about it, and as long as I can continue that, then I'm a happy guy.
So do you feel like your consumer base is almost creating its own community?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that I can call it the hammock life, the Trek Light lifestyle. As a business owner and a marketer, you want to create that community. I don't have to create that community. People, the hammocks themselves have this social aspect to it. People either sharing a hammock or getting to a campsite and setting up hammocks all around the campsite and swinging side by side. And my customer base spreads that happiness for me in that community. And it's, if you have an experience with a company that is not just, people, I think people just, when they don't have a bad experience, they think that's a good experience these days. Oh, I didn't, get screwed over by this company I bought. Yeah, it didn't suck. And so, we do things like, on every order that we ship out, we write a handwritten note, that goes in the package to the customer. It's the little things that I think just, we try to spur it on, but the customers themselves, they turn it into, a life of their own. They'll take a product and just start, you will hear different uses for it. And so the products themselves, by just kind of putting them out there, it's just amazing to see how that community uses them, spreads that around, and because they had a really good experience with the company, they're so eager to support, Trek Light gear, to tell their friends about it. I've had people that have written reviews, whether it's on Facebook or an email to us or a phone call, and they're telling us how awesome they got the package. They loved the handwritten note. They saw the sticker, all the little things that add up. And at the end of it, they tell us, I haven't even used the product, I haven't even set it up yet. I'm looking forward to it. And you realize that, okay, the product is just almost the end result of this experience that you can have with customers and in that community building, just by being a good person, giving good customer service, making people happy. That is lost in a lot of companies, small and big, where they don't realize that the end of the day, people, it's I sometimes call it the cheers effect, where you want to be somewhere where everyone knows your name, and to feel like you're a part of that. You can very easily give that. You see it in restaurants where the owner will come over and ask you how your meal was and talk to you, and when that happens, you walk out of there going, that place was awesome, and it's the little things that I just believe connect. You don't have to be a corporate business that people can't relate to. It's a small business exists and often is run by people like myself and families, and it's, you can share that hey, we're all in this together kind of feeling, without trying to portray yourself as this bigger than you are company or anything like that. People really relate to the small business aspect of where they're doing their purchasing, especially if you're doing something like giving back with every sale or anything like that they can relate to.
Taking care of his clients and community that he has built is only one of the ways that Seth gauges success. He takes pride in the interaction he has with his clients as much as his growth. But when it comes down to it, Seth puts his end goal in one word:
happiness. I always, it sounds like a cliche. The way that I view, whether it's our, even a lightweight backpack, or, the hammock itself, or it's just this, there's no one way to use. We're not selling a camping product. We're not selling a backpacking product. When you look at, if you compare a hammock to a tent, just in the vein of camping, a tent is something that sits in your gear closet, your pack, and you use it just on those camping trips. You're not setting it up at home in the backyard. When you have something like a hammock, I want, one of the things that I said a while back that has kind of resonated, I guess, on the internet is, you should spend 10 minutes in a hammock every single day, unless you're too busy, and then you should spend an hour. And that's really, it's the, whether it's stress relief or just that ability to take yourself out of your current experience. You're having a bad day, anything. It is a product that can make you happy and can add a sense of lightness to your life, whether it's just lightening your pack in a very physical sense, or that kind of emotional relief that you get from just closing your eyes in a hammock at the end of the day and saying, this is, it's not I'm not selling a very expensive product. It's something that hey, if you want to look at it as a sub $100 investment that you will use for years, and you can share. A hammock can be romantic. It can help you connect with other people. It's that just that sense of really spreading that mentality that I always talk about, which is that life is better in a hammock. And if we can continue that message and kind of keep showing the world that, just add a hammock to your life and a few minutes here and there, and you're going to be a happier person and really appreciate it slows things down is really what happens when you stop from a busy day and really just slow things down and take a look around you.
One of my favorite quotes from a movie is from Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey's character, when he's like, you just got to keep living. And I can tell from your passion for this and why you're doing it that resonates. This is a product that I think if people go out and get, they're going to start living, and living happy and living their purpose and so forth. And that's what this show is all about, is we want to feature companies and people like yourself that are creating stuff that is outside the box, it's blowing up the box, but it's really enhancing other people's lives. So we want to thank you for the interview today. Thank you for sharing this. Looking forward to taking at least 10 minutes, if not an hour, just chilling in the hammock. And thank you so much.
Thanks for having me in the van.
Awesome.